Alright, what's up mga ka-investa? Welcome back to another Behind the Stock session. And of course, my name is Renzo and my job here is to really deconstruct what is behind the company, who are the people, who are the management, what are the strategies that they will be using. And this one is very special because we are covering an IPO. So joining with me today are two very special and key people in the management team. No? So we have Ms. Camille Villar, who is the Vice Chairman of AllDay. Hello, Ms. Camille.
Hello, hi everyone listening.
All right, and we have Ms. Rosalie Coloma, from also the CEO and President of AllDay.
Hello, everyone.
All right, so before we begin, thank you so much for being here. Sobrang, I know how much you value your time, and this is a great opportunity to talk to the retail investors as well, to really get to know the company. And yeah, siguro I'd like to start with a question to get to know you guys a little more. So could you please share with us how you got here in your position in AllDay, and what were your previous engagements with any of the companies under the Villar Group? So maybe you can start with Ms. Camille.
How I got here, you mean like, what do you mean, how do I?
Like, what was your experiences? What were the steps you took? And then, of course, now being the Vice Chairman of AllDay, it's really a big responsibility. So what got you into all of this, basically?
Well, actually, primarily our family's business has been in real estate. So, of course, my parents, former Senator Manny Villar, he really started with Camellia Homes over 40 years ago. And what that was giving Filipino people a home. But as years went by, we sort of moved from simply giving a family or the Filipino consumer a house into building communities for them, and basically building a place to live that goes beyond just their home, but even a place for them to work and a place for them to shop and have everything that they might need, whether it be for their careers or even for their recreation. And then that's when we started putting or building up commercial centers in our communities and in our developments. And one of the we saw a lot of possible retail concepts that most Filipinos needed that would be located near them, such as a place to shop for your home. And that's how we started with All Home, which is a one-stop shop for everything that you might need. So in the past, people would have to go to a furniture store or an appliance store or a hardware store for everything that they need for a home. But now they just go to one store and everything they need is there, and it's close to their home, which we found very important and essential. And that was highlighted more during the pandemic. Now, in addition to the things that you need for your home, of course, there's recreation, like restaurants to dine in. So we have concepts like Coffee Project. We had entertainment concepts prior to COVID, before they were temporarily closed, like cinemas and the like. But also, more importantly, we found that, of course, people need supermarkets. And that is how we got here. So it is also born out of traveling and benchmarking around the world. Our chairman, along with some of our people, would go to the United States, to Australia, to other parts of Asia. And over in the recent years, we would see na the retail experience has really changed, different from what we were experiencing here in the Philippines. It's a different experience. So going to the supermarket was no longer just about going there, buying what you need, and then leaving. Right? There were food offerings that you could eat, have prepared while you were shopping. There were many, it wasn't just essentials anymore, like fruit and meats and everything. There's a lot of imported goods and a lot of things you can discover in a supermarket. And we felt that we wanted to be the first to bring that kind of experience here in the Philippines. Because in everything that we do, whether it's building homes, building communities, building retail stores, coffee shops, it's always about bringing the best that the world has to the Filipino consumer. And so we believe that all of our concepts, all of our offerings, before we introduce it to the increasingly discerning Filipino community, it really needs to be best in class and an elevated customer experience. And that is why we arrived at the AllDay that we see today. Of course, while it's a fairly young company, we spent our early years trying to develop and improve our model to make sure that this elevated customer experience wasn't just more beautiful and more world-class, but a sustainable model that we can replicate throughout the Philippines as well. And that is how we got here.
All right. Thank you for sharing that story, from not just your experience, but how this all developed. So thank you for that. Miss Sally, so how was your engagement naman with the Villar Group? How did you become the CEO for AllDay?
Oh, okay. Well, I became CEO of AllDay in just last year. Prior to that, I was CFO of All Home. Actually, Camille and I, together with Jing, were the team behind All Home when it listed in 2019. Then prior to joining the retail company, I was actually CFO for Haven HVN, another listed company of the Villars. And prior to Haven, I was with another listed company of the Villar, Starmouth. So I've always been mostly with the listed companies of the Villar companies. For the first three, primarily in finance, my first foray into a non-finance role is really AllDay. But, I've gained experience, really very much of the retail experience came from All Home. And when Camille talks of the benchmarking and the learning that happened while the retail group was being set up, I was lucky to have been part of that team as well.
And how was that transition like, from the financial side to having a role like this? Was it difficult for you or kaya naman?
Because in our team, in the Villar, it's a hallmark of the Villar companies, a person in finance knows operations as much as operations. So a finance person in operation in the Villar group behaves like an operations person, in the sense that we don't take our numbers just for the heck of just the numbers, but we try to understand the business behind the numbers. And so therefore, we can meaningfully talk about operational tactics and strategies with the chairman, as well as with the operations team. So the transition is not all that difficult, given that discipline that we have as finance people in the Villar group.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that story. So guys, if you're watching and you're listening to this episode, later on we'll go into the nitty-gritty, siguro more on the tactics, and later on i-cover natin yung details about the IPO. But I'd like to start with a few questions for you, Miss Camille. So you kind of touched up on how AllDay came to life, basically, diba?
Yes,
and then my question is, how did the Villar Group focus on this particular segment, or rather, why did you focus on the supermarket retailing sector?
Well, because we found ourselves in this segment because we were looking for something essential that we wanted to introduce to our customer for our homes, because primarily they are the ones that we are thinking of when we are creating these concepts. And over the years, we have found that the typical Filipino has already become more worldly. We have a lot of Filipino expats that have lived abroad. We have overseas Filipinos that are also working abroad and have come back. And even the Filipinos here, young and old, have traveled around the world some more. So we wanted something that would be up to par with the standards that they were exposed to abroad. And that's how we came up with this AllDay supermarket. Because if you saw what we saw was the existing supermarket experience in the Philippines, primarily focused on cost as its driver and as its basis. So it was really all about bringing something, what was essential to our Filipino customers. But what our chairman saw was that the Filipinos more and more probably wanted a new experience, a more innovative and dynamic experience. And as time goes on, as the Filipinos, of course, get wealthier, and as our exposure increases, they're going to be looking for new elevated experiences, and that's what we wanted to bring. So this was the segment that we were targeting. Bear in mind that it had to be for the people that were buying our homes and beyond. So it was not primarily fueled by price.
All right. Thank you for that. And I like how you mentioned you want to really elevate the experience.
Yes.
So with regard to that, how do you think, or what do you think is the future of supermarkets? Because we all know that it's been here for maybe more than 100 years already. And it's not an industry that's always innovated technologically, but we can see globally, we can see like Amazon or other interesting companies that are integrating technology. So what do you think is the future of supermarkets, at least here in the Philippines?
Well, I'd like to borrow from what our chairman likes to say about AllDay, when he discusses it. Because, one of the things that AllDay was able to do was really jump on this premiumization that we're not just seeing in the Philippines, but we're seeing in other parts of Southeast Asia or in economies that are growing. And so initially, while we feel that in the Philippines, AllDay provides an upgraded customer experience like no other, mirrored from other parts of the world, the founder, my father, former Senator Manny Villar, actually envisions AllDay as the future of supermarkets. So while right now we feel like it's a premium experience, he says that in years down the road, this is going to be the model or the new norm or the new standard for supermarkets. So of course, we are providing some premium items, not all. I mean, we have our essential selection, but we have some imported items coming from different parts of the world. It's very efficient, so everything that you need can be found in a certain size of a supermarket. It's accessible to you, and also now you can reach it through omni channels, right? So your supermarket experience is not just you going to the brick and mortar experience. It also seamlessly is integrated online. So you can actually enjoy AllDay supermarkets innovation and products, not only when you go to the store, but also when you're at home online. It can be delivered to you within 24 hours. So all these conveniences that you're seeing in AllDay supermarket, while they're innovative now and unlike any other, we believe that this is not just going to be a premium experience, but it's going to be the new standard in supermarkets in the future. And so we believe that this model that we're seeing now is the future of supermarkets, at least here for the Philippines.
Yeah. Just a quick add to that, Aaron, so if you'll allow me.
Sure.
If you look at Thailand, and we benchmark Bangkok a lot, and they are, the retail landscape in Thailand would be ahead of the Philippines. And if you go around Bangkok, it's just that what you see in AllDay, that's how all their supermarkets in Bangkok look like. So Camille said it correctly that this is the future of supermarkets. We've seen it in other countries.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. Actually, to attest to that, especially when it comes to the online experience, before this interview, I tried to order online at midnight. And then they were actually willing to deliver my order at that time. So I was really surprised when it comes to the customer service.
We do have 24/7, Renzo.
Yes, we do.
It's something that we launched in the past few months because we felt that it's something that Filipinos are craving for.
Yeah.
So yes, we do have 24/7.
Correct.
delivery service.
So if you guys are interested, I'm in the Parañaque area. So if nandun rin kayo, possible yung ganun kabilis na service. So, all right.
And
so,
I will add this also. I mean, earlier we were talking about like how we got here and me personally. And I have to say that in everything, in every service that we have, in everything that we offer, it is also something that the employees and the people behind AllDay genuinely believe in. So we are constantly thinking of ourselves as the consumer, and it's like, what do we need? What are we looking for? What can a supermarket do to make things easier for us, better for us? And the answers to those questions are the things that we really strive to offer. So whether it's in customer service, whether it's in product selection, whether it's in customer experience when you're shopping online or in the store, we're constantly striving to provide things that we believe, that we look for ourselves and that we believe other people are looking for as well. So this is something that the AllDay people are very passionate about. So you do have things like 24-hour delivery, delivery within 3 hours if you really wanted it, and the ability to text someone in the store to look for the things that you might need.
Correct. All right. Thank you for that. No, sobrang inspiring ng ganitong klaseng improvement. So I'd like to go on with the people naman behind AllDay, since you mentioned how people there are very passionate about improving, no? So what are there any specific guiding principles for the AllDay management or the Villar group that you really uphold, and what people really need to have to be part of the team?
Well, with AllDay as the supermarket, of course, always we want to bring what is best in class to the Filipino consumer, right? So we're always looking for new, being dynamic and innovative is something that we really look for in our concepts and in our people. We're constantly looking for something new, something to bring in. So innovation is really one of the center, or one of the most important things in AllDay, even in All Home and in the All Value group. So we never stop. So we're always looking to introduce something better. So it's that innovation and dynamism that we look for, also within the people in our team. And of course, it's really the passion, like what I touched on earlier. It's really the passion to give the best kind of service and commitment to your consumers. It's all like malasakit, or care, not only for your customers but also for the company, and being able to execute what we believe in and staying true to that. So sometimes the innovation can only happen. Sometimes, in some cases, the innovation happens in the beginning and then you're not able to sustain it. But in the All Value group, that's something that we continue to do. So even if we're providing something new now, we're going to continue to provide something tomorrow, the next month, the next year.
All right, thank you for that. And Miss Sally, do you have anything to add? When it comes to the principles that you have?
Well, other than innovation that Camille has mentioned, of course, at the end of the day, and especially to our shareholders, it is a return to deliver a profitable model. So our team, our management team is very conscious of that. So we're very conscious of costs. We drive our costs as low as we can, of course, without sacrificing customer service. We're looking at our people are very passionate about delivering their same store sales growth. So they are, each store is responsible for the performance of their stores, and there are KPIs by which we measure them. And of course, we have a discussion. It is a shared responsibility, actually, the results. So if a store is doing well, it's a credit to the entire team. If a store is having challenges, the other store members typically, this is what we're doing right. You may want to try this. So those are the things that happen actually in the team. So there's a lot of teamwork in addition to the innovation, and that allowed us actually to grow relatively fast, given that we're just a 5-year-old company. It is the continuing innovation, the continuing collaboration, and the excellent teamwork that happens across, including, of course, the Villars, the chairman, si Camille. They're very, very much part of the team.
All right, thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned earlier, what I'd like to go back and I'd like to jump a little bit to more of a tactical and technical side of the business. So you mentioned there are metrics or KPIs that you look at to see the performance. So what are those KPIs that you use to assess the overall performance of a supermarket, and something that maybe also the audience can look at na, this supermarket is really doing better as compared to the others?
Mm. Of course, the financial metrics will always be there, like, of course, sales and sales growth, and of course, the bottom line that drives, the multiple and the price. But you should also look at. You should also look at, how forward-looking is the supermarket. True, you may be delivering on your numbers now, but is the supermarket future-proofed? And right now there's a lot of change that is happening around us. We should be looking at companies, and AllDay, we're proud to say AllDay is one of those. Now we're continuously looking at how differently are things. How differently should we do things given the things that are happening in the environment? For example, when we went into lockdown on March 15, 2020, so we figured, okay, it's going to be tough. So what we did a month after, we launched our personal shopper, because we know that people may be wary of going out and buying what they need. So we offered personal shopper. They call in, and their essential items will be delivered to their doorstep. And those qualities, maybe not a metric, Renzo, but qualities that you see, the innovation that Camille has mentioned, the ability to quickly adapt to a changing environment. We feel that those are metrics that we also look at, maybe not really quantifiable in the way that sales, SSSG, or sales per square, and those are still our metrics, but we go by other metrics as well.
All right, thank you for sharing that. Now, siguro let's move on to a more strategic question. I've read that you have 33 supermarkets or stores right now. How do you strategically choose those locations? And siguro moving forward, how do you also choose the future locations that you are looking at?
Consistent with what Camille said, that we are really targeting the mid-premium segment. Our selection strategy or selection criteria follows that overarching philosophy. So we look at those areas where there's a predominance of ABC1, meaning at the minimum, I think that's 70,000 pesos and up household family income. So we are very conscious of that. So that is why even if Vista has over 147, if I recall correctly, 147 sites, we cherry pick from among those sites where we would like to put an all-day supermarket. So not all of the Vista land communities qualify currently, but we would say that over 100 will already qualify among the 147 cities and municipalities, and that is where we will, choose the next set of stores beyond the 33. Geographically, we have chosen to be in the Mega Manila area, and again, that's consistent with the mid-premium segment, because we still feel a good part of disposable income is concentrated within the Mega Manila area, in contrast to the provincial areas. However, in those areas that meet our demographic profile criteria, cities such as Talisay in Cebu, Bacolod, we put up AllDay there. Iloilo as well, yeah. And up north, San Fernando, Pampanga.
All right. All right. So it really boils down to your target market. So if I could ask you, Miss Camille, now, why do you focus on the mid-premium segment, and how does this fit to the Vista Land's target market?
Well, again, because of course, our market are the people that are able to buy the Vista land, homes, and communities. So that does fit into, the mid income segment. And then also we wanted something a little bit more premium. That, and also we saw an opening, because what we saw was in the industry today, most of the big players really operate using price as their main driver. So it's all about offering perhaps, the lowest price or best deal. But we chose to focus on offering a more upgraded customer experience for this particular market, because we felt that it was what they were looking for. It was something new that other people or other companies had not yet addressed here in the Philippines.
Mm. And besides Renzo, if you say camellia, the average price of a camellia right now is actually 5 million, 4 to 5 million. A buyer of a camellia would be right smack into the demographic segment of AllDay. So we cannot buy a 4 or 5 million house without, a significant disposable income. So it fits perfectly with the camellia communities of Vistaland.
Correct. All right. So it's very interesting because I can see really the synergies between the different companies, of course, of the Villar Group. But before we move on to that question, I'd like to ask, because I keep reading this, that AllDay has a highly scalable and dual format business model. So, Miss Sally, can you explain what this means for me and for the audience as well?
Okay. Well, dual format, kasi when we decided to launch our e-com, we did not create a central hub where deliveries will come from. We decided instead to deliver from the stores. And the fact that our stores are very near the communities naman in the first place, that makes them very ideal to be the last mile fulfillment areas for our e-com sites. So it's a quick way to market, that's one. And two, it's an efficient way to handle e-com logistics. So no central hub, deliveries from the store. And because deliveries are from the store and they are near the communities, therefore, that 24/7 happens, therefore the 3-hour happens. So scalable, because we feel that over the 5 years that we have been in existence, as Camille spoke of the continuing calibration that we did with our stores, we feel that at the end of 3 years, we had a model actually that works and is replicatable. So that is why we feel that it's a scalable business model in the sense that our model it can be replicated. Because we have found out already over the past 5 years that there's an ideal size that works. Below that, you will not be able to carry enough selection. Higher than that, you become inefficient already. And as well, we have learned what product offerings works, at least for our target market. So that is what we mean when we say scalable, because the model works and we have 33 stores to show for that.
All right. Okay. I understand. So when it comes naman to, let's say, digital innovation, when did you start integrating these technologies to the business? And post-COVID, let's say everything's better now, do you think it will still remain relevant to the business model?
Yes, we have been an early adopter of technology, Renzo. So when we decided on, even before this e-com, even before COVID, actually, AllDay already embraced technology. We have been on the cloud even before all of this happened. So right from the get-go, we decided that our systems will be in the cloud. Right from the get-go, we decided to get, what is the latest on SAP? They say this HANA Enterprise Cloud that will allow you to scale very quickly, no investment in, these data centers and all that, but it's a subscription-based, so therefore it's easy for us to scale. We just add more capacity in the cloud to allow us to grow. So we tried to understand that part early on. And it continued actually. The most recent ones would include our self-checkout counters. So, and of course, the e-com, which we continue to do. We are actually on progressive web app, and which works across different devices. So, ang progressive web app kasi, yung experience mo sa laptop mo, pareho sa experience sa tablet mo, pareho sa experience sa mobile mo. So, you get more or less a seamless experience in our e-com. And it's a technology that was available in the recent past. So when we decided to do our e-com, we also decided to adapt that, and we will continue to try to understand what those are. So, and the second part of your question is, will the technology innovations continue beyond the pandemic? Yes. There's a lot of it's one of those that is the fastest that to change at this time. So therefore, there has to be a level of alertness on what is out there and what is applicable to us.
All right, thank you for that. So, of course, we have to also deal with other competitors as well. And siguro I'd like to start with a question for Miss Camille. So, although we already know how we use technology and how great the story is in the beginning and how passionate the people are in AllDay, but how really is AllDay different as compared to the other supermarkets here in the Philippines?
I think entering the store speaks for itself. So I of course I can tell you about the premium experience that you see here, but you'd really have to visit our stores, and the moment you walk in, you know that it's different from the other stores. And I'm not just talking about the beauty. Of course, first and foremost, our stores will remind you of being abroad, and we've had people say that. And this is true for stores within Mega Manila and even in the province. So one of the things that AllDay aims to provide is really that world-class experience, but not just in the central business district, but even in the other communities in other parts of the Philippines, in other parts of Mega Manila. We bring the same premium customer experience. Number two, we have a notable selection of imported items that you can find only in AllDay, which helps you. We have specific ingredients for cooking Asian fare. We have cult snacks from Korea and Japan, and the things that we look for in the snacks that we look for from the US and in Europe. So going into AllDay supermarket, you end up buying not just the things that you need and what you were looking for, but roaming the aisles, whether you're roaming our aisles physically or even if you're looking at our online website, you will find things that you didn't think of, but you've been looking for. You will find things that you will only find in AllDay supermarket. And also within our store, we have a lot of innovative parts. Like we have a stores, the International Stopover, which is specific for imported items. We were the first to introduce Gastropaluto. So this is like where you can buy food, have it cooked, and enjoy it right there and then in a comfortable place. And then we also have an array of local and foreign snacks that you can buy, and it's not just a kiosk outside. And then also, even as Sally has been talking about extensively, we also have this same upgraded experience even when you're online at home. So when you go to allday.com.ph, there's a lot of things that makes life very convenient for you, like what you mentioned, 24-hour delivery, speedy delivery. And because we have other we have other subsidiaries, like we have All Home, you will actually find more than just food and snacks in allday.com.ph, but everything that you might need. So that's really what sets it apart from the rest.
All right, thank you for explaining that. Now let's go more into the strategic competition type. So since of course this is a red ocean type industry, we have a lot of competitors. We have a lot of supermarkets, listed companies also in the Philippines. So what are your strategies against the competition? So maybe I'll address this to you, Miss Sally.
Okay. I agree, and I tried to read up the red ocean, blue ocean earlier. Well, red ocean in a sense that yes, there are a lot of grocery players, but you could create a blue ocean within the red ocean. Because as Camille said, there was an opportunity in the premium segment. So we created our own blue ocean within a very big red ocean. So that's our competitive strategy to differentiate, to offer something different. Because if you are more of the same, well, we will be going up against those who have been there before us, and have more branches compared to us. But if you differentiate yourself, have a differentiated offering, that sets you apart from those who came before you. And it's a principle that we abide by within the retail group. The chairman also said that, if you're going there, you should just not be one of the players. You should be a different player. So AllDay has that. And prior to that, maybe a lot of you may be able to relate more if you've been there are more coffee projects actually. So we have 70 of coffee projects. Maybe you guys have been to one coffee project. The same principle that happens in AllDay. So when the All Value Group was creating coffee project, we didn't want to, and we love Starbucks and we respect the strategy of Starbucks. But if we were to be just another Starbucks, a Starbucks copycat, that doesn't work. So we decided to have a few other elements within Coffee Project that differentiates Coffee Project from Starbucks. The same philosophy is true for AllDay. So if you were to be just similar to the SMs, Robinsons, and Pure Golds of the world, we will be just like them, and you'll probably not stand a chance against them. But if you offer something different, that may be a compelling reason for customers to go to you.
All right, excellent. Thank you for sharing that. No, very, very strategic. So I'd like to go back to you, Miss Camille. So you've mentioned a lot about the synergies with the Villar Group with all the other subsidiaries. So can you expound on this and how really everything ties together, and how is this helping AllDay really have a greater advantage as compared to your competitors?
Well, to begin with, for example, all the let me start with Vistaland. So a lot of our locations, in fact, most of our locations are located in Vistaland or its subsidiaries, communities, or properties. So it makes it easier for us. So we don't have to really, we wait until we believe that areas, that community specifically, is ready for an all home and an AllDay. But when it is, everything is much quicker in terms of constructing a store, and of course our familiarity with the place also makes operations easier and more efficient. So that is, and then each of these communities already has a ripe and captive market for our retail offerings. And that is really how we and of course it's really, this is a consumer that we have been serving for more than 40 years. So we have a genuine understanding and love for these buyers and everything that they might need. And that is what fuels us to offer our services. So that is the synergy with Vistaland and its communities. Now, in terms of the all value retail ecosystem, we do have, as Sally has touched on previously, we also have All Home, which is a one-stop home shopping store. And then we also have Coffee Project, which is also a best-in-class coffee shop experience. And although during the pandemic we've seen the closing of cinemas and amusement centers like Kinder City, which is also something that we offer, we're confident that when things are back to normal, you will see that when you go into an all-day store, you're not just going into a supermarket, because next to these in almost all of our locations, next to an all day, there is an all home, there is a coffee project, there are cinemas, things to do for your kids, places to buy from, non-home items, and there's a whole world-class experience, a retail shopping experience that goes beyond just your food or just your groceries, that any shopper from All Value will experience. And that is something that we're very proud of. And that's how we believe that the synergies really work together.
All right. So everything looks good, no? When you look at the synergy, the strategy, the industry, of course, it's actually pretty pandemic proof, as we can see right now. So I'd like to just add a question. Are there any risks that you are trying to prepare for when it comes to this kind of industry? So maybe, yeah, Rosalie.
Let me take that question, Renzo. One of the things that has always been a challenge to a business that is rapidly growing, and we have been rapidly growing, and we intend to continue on that path, is the availability of good people. Because as we grow our stores and we're growing to 45 and then onwards to 100, it is critical to get the right store managers. It is critical to get the right store supervisors to share our passion for good customer experience. That part is something that, we are thinking about and we are preparing for. So while there are a lot of, good Filipinos out there, we'd like to attract that part, that segment of people in retail that share our passion.
All right. Thank you for that. And also, regarding to what you said, of course, we are entering this high growth stage for AllDay. It's very, very fast paced. And right now we have the IPO. So how do you expect to maintain the same level of profitability and growth as time goes by?
It all starts with store selection, Renzo. So if you choose a location well, normally it delivers. That's why we are very choosy about the location, because it has to have the right demographic profile. Because if you go to a location where they probably will be, you're looking at a basket size of 500, but baka hindi yun yung market namin. But if you're looking at, a market which usually shops with cartload full of groceries, that is our market. So we look for those. And typically, yung buying behavior naman ng market na yun is consistent. So it starts from there. And of course, it is yung continuing offering for something new. Kasi, alam mo yun, there has to be a reason other than pantry restocking. We'd like to create reasons for people to keep coming back to our stores. It is also a journey of discovery of what is new. Ano yung bago kong makikita sa AllDay that gets them excited. Of course, other than yung bibili ulit ako ng oil, bibili ulit ako ng bigas, bibili ulit ako ng whatever it is that they need.
All right. Thank you for that. So keep innovating talaga and look at the people who you are serving. So I'm just curious to ask Miss Camille, are there any plans of going global for AllDay?
Actually, for us naman, it's really about bringing the world-class or the global standards here to the Philippines. So I think from now until the near future, we'll be looking at expanding throughout the Philippines massively before we look at looking abroad.
All right. So that's the priority, yung mga Pinoy muna.
Yes.
All right. So thank you for those amazing answers. Sobrang naka-enlighten. And right now, let's move on to the IPO side, no? So of course, we know a lot about the IPO na. Maybe we can flash here something, what we know so far. But to begin with, siguro not in a technical way muna. Miss Camille, how was it like? How was the experience like setting up an IPO like this? So yun, dun muna tayo mag-start.
Well, actually, I will tell you that in all value, this is our second IPO. So our first IPO was in 2019 for All Home. And I can speak about that because that was our first. And I will tell you that a little personal experience was, to me, that was a dream come true, because all home, all day, all value, all these retail concepts are fairly young concepts, having come from the real estate and housing industry all our lives. I mean, even if I had graduated just 10, 15 years ago, I mean, my whole life I had spent it in home building because my father, our chairman, was in that. So it's kind of uncertain. There was kind of uncertainty when we ventured into retail, because home building was what we knew. So we started, of course, with All Home because, at least our expertise in home building, we could bring into this retail offering, this retail store. And then that's how we started All Home. And then branching from that started Na Coffee Project and AllDay, which is the same, bringing that kind of experience to the Filipino consumer. So there was, of course, in the beginning, you're kind of scared. Will you succeed? Will you do well? This thing that you're offering to the Filipino consumer, will they respond to it? Will they like it? And it has been one of the greatest and most fulfilling things to see the way the Filipino consumers have responded to All Home and AllDay. The fact that, there's an indescribable fulfillment when you see people enjoying your services, enjoying the things that you have created. There's nothing like it. There's no, it isn't about, the financial gains or anything like that. So, that is, for us, this whole IPO has been a wonderful experience. It was wonderful in when we had it in All Home. It was very fulfilling, and it is the same with AllDay. We are very proud and we are very excited to let people be a part of this journey with us, to grow with us. So now we're offering it to investors, and people always ask, what is it that you're offering them, or what can the retail investors expect from you? And really, it's an opportunity to be a partner in this together. This IPO, at least for me, Sally might have a different will have a different perspective, but at least for me, it has been fulfilling. We are very proud that this store that we have created for many countless nights of of hard work has been accepted, and to have partners in that, to have people like you to talk to about it and to enjoy it, and to have more people join us in this journey has been amazing. So for me, this IPO is, on a personal note, just that. So we're very proud of this concept, and we are very grateful about the response. We feel like we're ready, because it took us a while to make sure that we had something that we could scale, that was scalable, something that we were sure would do well. And now we're very happy that AllDay has come to this point, and we're very, very excited to share it with you.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that experience. No? So I'd like to also get Miss Sally's experience. How was the IPO for you?
Yeah. Well, as Camille and I were also together in the 2019, so I share the feeling of fulfillment. But in addition to that, we also get excited to tell our story to the world. To Filipinos first, and then to the world. At least in the case of All Home, we told it to the rest of the world. Because we feel that it's also a celebration of Filipino entrepreneurship, a celebration of a Filipino that is it's something that is created by a Filipino, meaning what can the Filipino do? So sharing that story adds to the fulfillment actually. To us in management, actually being public adds a little bit more pressure because of course we will now be measured by the stock market, so it's a lot more pressure for us. But it's something that we are ready to take on.
Yes, we are confident and we are ready that we will meet whatever it is that we have promised, and actually more. So even with this offering with AllDay, we are confident we can meet our objectives and even probably exceed the expectations of the people that we're introducing it to.
All right. Thank you for that, no. And grabe, nakaka-proud maging Pilipino, of course. Sobrang solid. So, siguro regarding the stock market, like what you mentioned, a lot of people watching right now are really interested about the IPO. Magsa-subscribe ba sila? Will they invest in the future? So recently, it was announced that the final IPO price will be at 0.6 or 6 centavos per share. So what was the reasoning behind this move? So from 0.8 to 0.6?
Well, when they introduced that 0.8 was really the range, diba? So it was up to 0.8, but normally we have a range, right? And if I may borrow from the statement of our chairman, so of course that's former Senator Manny Villar, my father, what we wanted to do was really price this IPO responsibly, at a point where we could maximize, long-term value for our new shareholders, both our retail investors and our institutional investors. So, we're really looking at this as a long-term partnership, and we really wanted to maximize the gains for everyone. We have a real vision that we wanted to share with our shareholders about, disrupting the competitive landscape, and of course, this elevated customer experience that we're continuously talking about, for the Filipino families. We're really looking at it in the long term.
All right. So the decision is really for the people, for the investors to really be a part of it long term.
Yes.
All day. All right. So siguro my next question is, when it comes to the retail investors, Miss Sally naman, no? So can retail investors still participate in the IPO? So do you have anything to say for this question?
Yes, of course. I think about 30% of our float will be offered to domestic retail investors. If I recall correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I think it's about 2 billion shares that will be made available to the retail investors, and they can invest actually anywhere from 600 pesos to 300,000 pesos. So depending on the appetite of people, or at least the individual investors. So yes, we have earmarked 2 billion shares.
Correct. And I'll go back to the prospectus, which tells us where the proceeds will be used for the IPO, from the IPO. And it says there that it's debt repayments, network expansion, capital expenditure. So can you help explain to the retail investors how this capital is allocated strategically? What is the purpose for this type of allocation for the proceeds?
Okay. Well, it will be for debt and for new stores. Because when we were ramping up to 33 stores, of course, we had to borrow, in addition, of course, to the equity contribution of the family into the business. So the rest we had to borrow. So and we are incurring interest expense on those borrowings. So therefore, we feel that from a shareholder perspective, we need to retire a good amount of debt in order to save us some money instead of paying interest. And we have a good amount that will be earmarked for stores expansion. So the combined proceeds earmarked for store expansion plus the savings that we will get from the retired debt will actually fund most of our next stores for next year.
All right.
And then beyond that, actually, it will be mostly internally generated funds that will fund the stores beyond 2022.
All right. And of course, another thing that we have read, of course, it's very clear the goal of 45 stores by 2022 and 100 by 2026. So what are the strategies now that you are looking for to reach that goal? So by 2022, 13 more and like triple in 5 years. What are some of the strategies that will enable you to reach that?
For 2022, Renzo, all of these have been identified and are in various stages of completion already. For the stores beyond 45, actually, 45 to 100 seems like a lot, but it's over a period of 3, 24, 25, 26. That's over a period of 4 years. So if you do the math, it's like growing by 12 to 15 a year. So it's not all that daunting to reach to 100. So we have the pipeline to do that, actually, given the existing properties of the Villars. And we're talking of Vista Land, and there are other real estate companies owned by the family other than Vista Land. We can choose from among those. But we are also getting invitations as well already from other developers, which we can continue to evaluate if it makes sense for us. So from a location perspective, I don't think we have much of an issue there.
Yeah, and if I may add, like what Sally was saying, this goes back to really the synergy with Vista Land and our other with our other partner companies. So it really makes us easy to identify the location. So in terms of scalability, this presents almost no problem for us because those 100 locations that we hope to that we have planned to build in over the next couple of years, those have already been identified. So there's no more like for other people, there's still business dev, you're still finalizing the locations. No, these are ready and waiting for us to build the stores when we want to.
And by the way, the capex of AllDay is just for fit out. So it's typically the shell of the store is built by the real estate companies for us, and we lease that space from them, and so that minimizes our capex in a sense, just for the fit out and of course the initial stocks for the store.
Right, very very interesting. The synergy really is a big game changer for this, as I can see. So right now, I guess for shareholders or for retail investors, what can they expect if they do become shareholders from AllDay? So medyo general, but siguro Miss Camille, do you have anything to say to encourage investors to be part of this journey with you?
Well, I'll just share with you perhaps part of our vision, because as what I mentioned earlier, we're really looking at offering this and having sort of long-term institutional and retail investors. And I guess what all I can say is that, we envision AllDay Supermarket as being probably, if not, one of, if not the biggest grocery brand in the Philippines, and we're working towards that, right, to be one of the biggest players, right? And so this is an opportunity to be part of that, so moving forward, when the years come and as we continue to build our brand and realize the vision that we have for it, it's like you're going to become part of something that we are really going to work tirelessly to make it great. So, and now you're able to take part of that now and share that journey with us. So, that's your prospect.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I guess just to end, Miss Sally, do you have any final words as well to the audience or to the future investors with AllDay?
Yeah. I speak for the management. Camille has spoken from an owner perspective, and I speak on behalf of the rest of the management team of AllDay. We are committed to our targets. We will deliver on what we have committed to deliver. We trust that the market will respond accordingly. So you get a chance to improve the value of your holdings, but the one that we can commit to is that we will deliver on what we have committed to deliver.
All right. I think that is the perfect way to end this conversation. So thank you so much for you guys. It's really an honor to have you here, and it's an important message to really tell the retail investors, because as we can see, you're not only speaking to those institutional investors, diba? We really care about the small capitals, that we can help other people invest in the right company. So thank you so much for being here and educating us.
Thank you, Renzo, for having us.
Thank you, Renzo.
Letting us share AllDay with you and all the people who are listening.